Hey there YouTube, this is John and Charles and Princess coming to you from our tiny cabin project. I wanted to film a short video today, unedited, unscripted, of how we do some simple things like make coffee and make food at our tiny cabin. Any of you that have watched our videos know that we are completely off-grid. We have lighting because we have solar power with the Renogy solar system. We've got a little Renogy charge controller coming to a 2 battery bank at the moment, which we will be upgrading shortly. And we've got a 100 watt Renogy solar panel on the back of the cabin that receives light almost all day long. So we use that completely off grid. We also have a generator plugged up, which is the background noise that you hear.
Heat.
Yes, we have heat. Right now it's about 19 or 20 degrees outside, and we have an ice storm going on where everything is getting completely coated with ice. It's probably 65 or 70 degrees in the cabin right now. We're doing our heat with the oil radiator in conjunction with the Mr. Heater, Buddy Heater. And it's working perfectly well to keep the cabin heated up all day and all night. If you want some more information on that Mr. Heater, Buddy Heater, make sure to go to our tinycabinproject.com. I have a blog article dedicated directly to that unit, how to use it, and all the attachments that can come with it. But for the purpose of today's video, we are going to be making coffee completely off-grid in a coffee percolator. I did film one of these videos at home, but I will be deleting that video today because of the YouTube capture app on my phone. It's horrible. Don't download it. I love YouTube, but don't download that app. Picture quality is disgusting. So for today, for the coffee, we're going to be using this little denatured alcohol burning stove. We found this at the thrift store for $6. Now I know some of you have asked. I do not know the make or model of this. It did not come with any kind of packaging or boxing. But if you Google search for a 70s denatured alcohol burning stove, you can find it through Google Images, which should direct you to the website. I'll try to find a link for that after this video. So I'm going to show you how to use that, and I'm also going to show you how to use this little camp model coffee percolator and the best ways I've found to work with that. So, and Charles hates to hear me say this, without any further ado,
I hate further ado.
let's get to it. So I've gone ahead and pre-filled the denatured alcohol burning stove. Now, many of you may know that you can use several different forms of alcohol in this. You can use Everclear, you can use heat that you put in your gas tank to increase your gas mileage. I wouldn't suggest using anything except for pure denatured alcohol in an enclosed space. Even then, we do still have a window cracked, and we have ventilation in the tops of the cabin right now that you probably can't see too well, but we've got fresh airflow coming in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the coffee in the coffee percolator. This guy comfortably holds about 6 cups of water, or soon to be coffee. I usually fill it only with about 5 to prevent any kind of overboiling once it starts percolating. It's got 5 pieces. You've got the pot itself, you've got the lid, you've got this hollow stem that gets inserted into it, you've got the filter itself, which has a ton of little holes on the bottom. Sets on top of it like that. You fill it with your coffee, and it's got a perforated lid that's got a whole bunch of little holes on top of that. What happens is as the water reaches a certain temperature, it comes up through the tube, it splashes over the top and seeps through the coffee grounds, and it recycles that water through the boiling process, making your coffee darker and darker as you go. For my personal preference, I rip up a small little coffee filter I just rip this off of this and I put this on the bottom. We use like Folgers pre-ground coffee, and that's a pretty fine ground. So I use this just because I'm one of those picky people that do not like grounds in my coffee. I want a smooth coffee. I don't want to be chewing things. So you just put that right along the bottom. It's a filter so it can still go through, but it covers up all the holes so that the coffee can't escape. So what we're going to do for the coffee, for 5 cups, we're going to use 5 level spoons for coffee. I don't do heaping because it tends to make it a little bit too dark and the filter can only hold so much. I do 1, 2, 3, 4, give that a little shake to level it out, and 5. That's what it looks like for the finished product. Just attach that on. Place your lid securely down. You want to make sure that's all the way in there so your coffee does not escape. For our off-grid cabin, our current water source is this cool little contraption we got at Walmart. Basically, you just fill one of your 3 to 5 gallon tanks of water, uses gravity, and water's still there to hold everything in place until we get our stuff going. That's how we do that. Now, as I said, I'm doing about 5 cups. I'm not measuring this at the moment because I know just by eyeballing where 5 cups is in this guy, I've used it so much. Hopefully this video will go to show how easy it is to have some neat accommodations while you're doing the off-grid thing. Our cabin's not finished. It's far from finished, but it's still very enjoyable staying out here. We can spend a weekend, we can have our coffee, we can have food, not go hungry, and we can be a little bit spoiled while we're out here. No electricity, nothing tied to the grid. You place that right inside the water, it sits on the bottom, shut your lid, and now the fun part is we're going to light the stove. So that little top piece comes off, we use our lighter, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm having problems with the lighters today. Go. You place that in the alcohol, and then if you can get a little closer shot, if you've never used one of these before, you're going to find yourself saying, what the fuck's going on? It burns on the inside for a moment until it gets heated up where the flames can come out of the jets. You don't want to start cooking your coffee until those jets light up. And if you haven't used your stove in a while, or if it's gotten very cold or freezing temperatures, you might find it goes out a couple times before you get it successfully lit. But we've had this going all weekend. So this guy is pretty well burnt through. It's got any kind of clogs or anything burnt out of it, and it's working very well. So while that's warming up, I'm going to go ahead and put this little top back on it. And this polishes up to a very nice stainless steel. It almost looks silver when it's polished. But it's hard to keep that polished when you're using it for everything you do all weekend. Also, a neat little tip. If you're cold and your Mr. Buddy heater or your oil radiator or whatever heat source you have going on hasn't got your cabin heated up yet, start yourself a pot of coffee. You would not believe how much heat radiates off of this thing, and it will heat your cabin up and help that process along a lot faster. So we've got those flames going up in there. Hopefully they'll stay lit. We're going to go ahead and set the coffee right on top. It's the perfect fit. And that also helps bounce the heat back to it, and it gets the flames going a lot higher. And this guy also has an adjustable thing on it Right now I made a mistake, the airflow is closed. So just by spinning it, you open that airflow up, and then this guy here, it can shut it off when you're done using your stove. So we've got that going, we've got the water set and the coffee grounds in there. So it should be about just 5 or 6 minutes with this alcohol burning stove until our water reaches a boiling point. So once it starts to boil and percolate, I'll give you a peek inside to show you exactly how that process works. So stay tuned.
Also, some of you may be noticing this other little mysterious coffee pot right here. Ooh. We can use that too, also off-grid. We have an inverter coming off our battery bank, and we can just plug it in and use the inverter and make coffee off-grid that way too. But we are in the middle of an ice storm, so we're not getting a lot of sun, so we are using the camp pot to conserve our electricity so we can have lights. Let there be light. We will be back momentarily for a cup of hot joe.
Hey guys, so it's been just about 5 minutes, maybe even a little bit less with this on. If you can see under that flame,
Let's pull down.
that flame has gotten pretty high, and if you can hear it over the generator, our coffee has started to percolate. Now this gets pretty hot, so you're going to see some splash outs, but I just want to show you on the inside what the percolating process looks like. Now if you can tell from the color of that water, it's gotten a little bit blonde. It's just started recycling through. Now as this water keeps falling and recycling through the process, after about 5 to 6 minutes, I find to be perfect for me, you're going to get a medium to dark roast coffee. So we'll be right back when that process is about finished. Alright guys, so it's been about 6.5 minutes, and our coffee has reached our perfect brew. As you can see from the percolation process, it's a nice dark color coming up in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut off the airflow just by twisting that guy. If you can see, it's going to twist off the airflow, and then cap it. Now it stays burning for just a few moments, but it will cut out shortly after that, and the fire will completely go down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pour our coffee and see how that turned out. Now I do have to warn you, the coffee percolator is all metal. It's a metal handle connected to a metal body, so it will be very hot. Always use some kind of protection when grabbing that handle. I sound like a sex ed class. Use protection. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pour these coffees. And as you can see, that is a nice, dark, fresh cup of coffee.
Steamy.
Very steamy. And then if you still got this burn in here, you can usually give it a little blow and then knock it right out. Don't touch that for a while. With your metal casing with the percolator, this will stay hot for the next hour without any flame. Now Charles likes his coffee black.
Strong enough to choke a truck driver.
Yep. I do not, and he gives me a whole bunch of flack about how much sugar and creamer I put in my coffee. But if you're anything like me, just tell him it keeps you sweet. Some creamer. Usually store my sugar in these cute little mason jars. And you don't have to count how many spoons of sugar I'm putting in my coffee here. Cap that right back up. It's probably going to be one of our next projects. We've been discussing this really cool shelf that Charles made. He made this out of recycled wood pallets. It does match the counter. The counter is made out of wood pallets too. This guy's really cool. It's not completely done. We're going to have some hanging and shelf additions and such that we haven't quite worked out yet. But one of the things that we're going to do, and it will be on the blog, ourtinycabinproject.com, is how to store foods safely in an off-grid cabin where temperatures may get a little hot and a little cold. So basically food that can be self-preserved and not go bad. But we're going to use a whole bunch of mason jars and pretty much just glue them up, and then you can unscrew it from the cap when it's glued up under there. I think that'll look pretty cute. So yeah guys, thanks for watching and tuning in for another episode from our Tiny Cabin Project. I will go ahead and announce, as we're finishing this tiny cabin and we're finishing this project and everything's moving along nicely, we will be doing some tiny house cooking episodes on different recipes and techniques of cooking in a tiny environment, along with special recipes that I'll formulate where you're not going to have wasted or leftover food, especially if you're only going to be staying a weekend or if you may not have a fridge yet in your tiny cabin. So until next time, cheers. Me, Charles, and Princess Frostbite asleep over there. Wish you guys a happy Valentine's Day and a great weekend.